beautiful humans. It's Audria, and I'm here with something that I think is special. I, as you know, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a coach, and what I love to coach most of all is when I work with presentation skills. Now, one becomes as an actor, which I was for so many years of my life, one becomes a very keen observer of human life and human behavior. And I have always been fascinated by profiling, by observing behaviors in others. And and then when I would be creating an actor, as an actor, a particular role or a character, I would draw on those observations that I have had. Well, one of the things that I always noted in my life was that hurt people hurt people. I lived with that. My parents were both very wounded and very scarred, and therefore they were not kind. They were not kind. They were very narcissistic and very desperate and controlling because they were so wounded. And what I learned was to become more observant and of my own unconscious triggers, because I too, of course, was wounded. But when you make a decision to change your behavior, you have to observe. First of all, you have to know that something exists and it's there first. And that's when you begin to change. So I have always been fascinated by profiling, and there is something on YouTube which I think many of you who are curious about other humans and learning more about human behavior, there is something called a behavior panel. There are four remarkable men who observe interviews and take them apart as profilers, as behavior experts, as human behavior experts. One of those experts is simply an extraordinary man named Chase Hughes. And Chase, I was working through a course of his because, of course, I'm always learning so that I am a better teacher and a better coach. And in observing and learning some of his profiling pointers and observations, something that his mentor said to him, I'm going to put it on the screen now as well. See the suffering in every person first, in front of all their behavior that seems to be offensive to others. Suffering is the source of almost all behavior. Be compassionate. So, what of course it says is exactly what I said at the beginning, is that hurt people hurt people. And all of us, every single person on this earth, in Earth School, if I can call it that, we have suffered. In one way or another, we have suffered. We have been hurt by others. We have hurt ourselves. And one of the things that I learned being raised in the difficult situation that I was raised in is I learned that compassion, first I started with compassion for others. And finally, I think I'm arriving at compassion for myself. So I invite you that oftentimes I see friends or colleagues or just people I don't even know being very cruel and judging others, making snap judgments about how they look, how they act. And my feeling about that is Be compassionate. You don't know what they've gone through. If you assume that someone is drinking purely because it's an addiction, or they're taking drugs simply because it's an addiction, you don't know what drove them there. It's probably not just a physical thing. Suffering, kind of like igneous rock, is formed by fire. And it forms us, and it can turn us, if we choose, into a lump of coal or into a diamond. But we, because of our consciousness, we are able to make a choice. We are able to make a choice and decide whether to be kind or to be smug and feel superior. No one is superior. Yes, there are many that are smarter than we are. There are many that are less intelligent. There are so many that are richer, so many that are poorer, so many that are beautiful, so many that are not beautiful. But beauty, truth, contact lenses, are they not in the eye of the beholder? So instead of leaping, this is what I invite you to do this week. Instead of leaping to judgment and to finger pointing and to feeling superior when someone exhibits behavior that is upsetting, see the suffering first. Because I, as a profiler, as a presentation skills person, I observe what people do. It's part of what I do. It's part of my education. It's part of the knowledge that I also give to my clients so that they can become more conscious of their behavior. But see the suffering. If you see the suffering, it changes how you deal with the people on your path. It allows you to open your heart and to, instead of judgment, send out big love, unconditional love. I accept you, human. I love you for who you are. We don't know what they've gone through. So if I had to choose 2 words from the many words I've given you this evening, 2, be compassionate. Not only for those around you. Feel compassion for your own suffering. Be kind to yourself. And when you are kind to yourself, you will have more to give because you can't give what you do not have. So when I read this quote, it really touched my heart, and I knew that I wanted to share it with you. Let it sink in. Let it dive deep into your heart and into your consciousness. Let it affect how kindly you look at the person in the mirror in the morning, how kindly you look at your neighbor. Be kind. Be compassionate. Life takes on a very different color when you rise to that level. All right, beautiful humans. Have a beautiful evening. And thank you. Thank you for lending me your ears and your hearts, and for allowing me to share what I observe. Thank you. Mwah. I'll see you next time. Well, I'll see you next time if I can actually get the camera turned off. Maybe.